In Pokémon Unite, there's going to be many games where you are losing by a small or large margin, and no matter the situation, I have the answer for you. It's possible you've been in games where an opponent finds a huge lead and it feels almost impossible to win. But what if I told you with a few tricks and a good attitude, you can find yourself a well-deserved victory? What I will share with you today will revolutionize how you see the game which you are losing in, and give you hope to find new opportunities to turn the tides of the match. One of the greatest feelings in a MOBA game is being able to come back, so listen closely as we unravel my secrets on how to come back in Pokémon Unite. Firstly, we must identify how we reached a losing situation. There are things that happen that end up giving you a disadvantage in the game. So let's quickly look at a few points in the game where you actually will notice the game slipping away. And right away, the first one is the 8-minute 50 mark, the first gank. And this is a tempo setter right off the gate. The central area made a gank on one of the lanes, and the results are usually that one of your lanes are wiped out, leading to 60 points being given to the enemy team, scored on your base. And sometimes even worse, your gank ends up badly and the other lane that wasn't ganked, or the equal lane, has done the same result as the lane that was ganked, and now both lanes are losing. So this is now 60 points into both bases. It's really rough, it doesn't feel good, and you're probably going to be thinking, okay, yeah, looks like it's starting to be a bad game. Don't fret, there's still a lot of options and opportunities on what we can do at this point, and it's not the worst. However, this isn't the only time you can start getting the curb stomp happening. At 8 minutes, ignoring the previous state, the middle birds, Altaria and Swablu, have spawned, and there usually is some sort of fight. The other team overwhelms yours, usually in part or sometimes fully, leading for them to charge into a lane and break a pad. In addition to this, the enemy have few options to make plays on your side of the map, or even further extend their lead to the other lane. So they're going to go and make a play in the other lane. They might even make a play to set up for an objective. You're usually going to end up losing one or both pads, the first tier pads. This is really bad, right? Don't worry too much about that. It's of course still redeemable, still salvageable, but it's a really bad start, and of course can look quite daunting. This is starting to become like a larger margin to lose by. And now of course we have the famous part, the 7 minutes to 6 minute area. This is by far the trickiest and the scariest. Some fight broke out for the bottom Reggie, most likely, or the top Reggie if that happened, and your team either was overwhelmed or lost the pad or end objective in some sort of combination, right? And now your map pressure has been lost and your timings have been lost. Now this caused the enemy to have a higher tempo in the game, which we're talking about a bit at the start. The tempo is now completely in their favor. They have Unite moves to use, they have level 8 and 9, and now you don't have any of that. So that actually leads for them to play for another objective, which might be a tier 2 tower, it might be the Regieleki topside. It can get worse and worse, right? And now you can't contest them at all because they're higher level and able to throw down Unite move. The last issue is by far the worst, right? Not having the Unite move, not being able to fight back. It's salt in the wound, and it makes the state of the game very difficult to overcome. These three things are gonna be your lifesaver when coming to that. And finding your lead back in a rocky situation like this. So we're gonna lay them down. However, before we do that, guys, I'm working uber hard for all of you to get us to partner, and it will mean that I can dedicate a lot more time to doing quality videos with in-depth and powerful scripts to give you guys new ways to attack Pokémon Unite. So drop a sub, like the video, and comment so the algo can reward us all with more. So, okay, now let's solve your problem. We understand that there's these 3 big timers. That's the bad thing that's happened. How do we solve that? All right. Okay, Sulu is here to deliver. The first and easiest thing to look for out of my first 3 tips, and they're ranked from least to most important, is towers. And what I mean by towers is these bases. I'm going to show one on the screen. By taking down enemy bases without resistance, you open up your team's maneuverability. In addition to exposing the enemy team's position permanently, you cannot regain a tower. You must remember, you win Pokémon Unite by scoring, but more importantly, you give yourself a more powerful position at Rayquaza, and you execute on it when you're at Rayquaza. If you do not take down towers, you're going to have an uphill battle throughout the whole game, and it's not the be-all and end-all, but it will make things significantly more difficult. So here's some of my best tips to actually take down these towers. Right away, it's, wait in brushes, wait in the bush, relax, chill. You see the enemy push a lane, you see an enemy make a play, and then you go for this tower. Hopefully you have more teammates to help with it, but sometimes you can just do it yourself. Gather some points, relax, make a tower play, make something happen, open the state of the game a bit more for yourself. Now, the second one is rotating away from the enemy. So, the 5 enemies push top, and you might be on the bottom side of the map. And you might think to yourself, oh, well, I need to go top to defend. You need to remove this mindset from your brain. It's just a bad mindset, because what you're going to do is you're going to waste your time recalling, going top, and defending absolutely nothing, because they would have already walked in whatever, they would have scored whatever. You were already disadvantaged. You cannot fight them at that point. So unless you can make it extremely quickly, look to go and make an advancement in the lane you're currently in the place you're currently in. Think about that. If there's another opponent there, maybe you can look to fight them with the help of a friend. If not, you can go and score your points on the other pad. These are all plays. To give something, you gain something, right? And in that situation, you're giving the top side of the map maybe, because they rotated top and all 4 of them are trying to score, and then you maybe get something in the bottom side of the map. Maybe you're not the best off for that trade, but at least you receive something, and that's my greatest tip in terms of tower taking. So remember, wait for some brushes, wait in the brushes, relax, chill, see what's happening in the game, and then at the same time, when you see the opponents make a big push, you make a big push of your own. Don't just play to their tempo, play to yours. Alright, now, speaking of the word tempo, secondly, we have our second point, and it's gaining tempo. It's a little bit harder to find this, but gaining tempo, if you are behind, you can force the opposition by regaining your lead in the sense of tempo. The tempo, it speaks to the dictation of the speed of the game. You can at times control the entire pacing of the game with good tempo, good map pressure and pacing. Pokemon plays around levels. So remember that, and you can abuse your level spikes, you can abuse your night timers, and you can really push the game in your favor. And I have some tips for doing this. So move around the map as a group when you're confident, and look to pick off players, look to engage the fights, look to start the action and the drama, because the enemy team want everything on their terms. And tempo dictates you setting the tone, you setting the speed. Don't let them play the guitar for you. You go play the guitar, and if sometimes it's too fast for you, that's okay, you can cool it. But remember that, guys, you can set the speed, move around the map as a group, you're gonna find some action to happen with your team. Now, bait the enemy into doing objectives, and then do something else. You can very quickly send one person to do something on one side of the map, and then make something happen on the other side if you cannot fight at all. Or if you can fight, you can just start ripping an objective straight out and just baiting them into the fight. You can set the speed of the game. Don't let them sit in an objective like a Reggie at bottom for 2 whole minutes. Do it right away as it spawns. Don't give them time to breathe. As I said, tempo, it's all about the speed. You can slow it down or you can increase it. Generally, increasing the tempo works a lot better, but slowing it down sometimes works great, so think about that. And don't focus on what the opposition wants, guys. This is something that is so bad, and I see it so often. People are like thinking, oh, okay, well, this player wants to get this, I really don't want to get them to have that. Think about what you need and what you want. When you think about what you want in the game, you're going to do more, because you're going to be more active. You're going to be looking for bigger and better plays. Think about what you want, and then think about what the speed of the game needs to be for what you want. Sometimes you need to slow it down. Sometimes you need time for farming, time for levels, and sometimes you need to go and force the action, break a pad, run the pad and suicide and die. It's okay, it's fine. You're gonna find objectives that way. And lastly, the most important golden tip I have, and it's usually the hardest thing to achieve, find the golden goose and run with it. Take out their hard carry or whoever is racking up the kills. They're the one pushing the pace for their team. They're holding all the XP. And if you take them out, they will instantly begin to even out the levels. And usually players forget how powerful they make their opponents when they die. So that will only speed up more and repetitive deaths from that player and the rest of their team. Use this to constantly bait the opposition into bad trades. You lose free players in exchange for someone with a free kill streak and free levels above your whole team. That's honestly worth it. Do it, it's fine. They think they're stat padding their KD, but by constantly dying, you're getting different members of your team ahead in level, and it's gonna create better and better pacing for your team. Opening up the game for your guys. Set up traps for them. Look to be aggressive and fight them, but using traps, stand in bushes, wait, analyze their firing patterns. Maybe they like to go for objectives late in the game. Boom, surprise them. Free people running out of a brush to kill someone is very scary and can lead into a lot of rapid deaths, So remember these things. Don't be afraid to die a lot and to get revenge kills while team fighting. Okay, of course, don't do this solo. I see this all the time. Players run in solo trying to like 1v9 hero fight. That's not going to achieve anything. But what can achieve things is running with your team together and team fighting the opposition when behind. You have nothing to lose. And every time they drop kills, if they fail, if they don't play the way they're meant to, it's sort of preying on their mistakes, but if they don't play the way they're meant to, they're going to get behind because they're going to be fighting you and losing. And when they start losing, then you start winning very hard because they were winning already. Remember, Unite is a game with very generous comeback mechanics. And that comeback mechanic is going to give you a lot of leeway in attempting to get ahead in the game. So use that together. Now, let me bring it all together. How these tricks end up bringing you more wins. All these maneuvers work in tandem to set you up for the 2-minute mark. You will approximately have 5 minutes to bring this game back. Usually, as I said, 6 minutes, 7 minutes 30, 7 minutes, you're going to really know, okay, we're losing, right? You have 5 minutes. Bring it back. You have to go crazy and start attempting all the things above. Don't freeze up, don't panic. If you look at your comebacks, you will notice they all have elements of what I've been saying. This is a recipe to liquid gold, so do not squander it and ensure you supplement yourself with this information. And more videos from myself. It's the least you can do from yourself and your Unite win rate. So go click, watch another.